you will come and commission the training center when it's completed in 9 months' time. At that time, actually, many people didn't know that you applied, but he had the vision that you'll be coming here. He committed himself in public, and then it probably had sleepless nights since he became the president of the African Development Bank. Because immediately when you're appointed, he said, Tarawali, do you know what has happened? Akin has got the job. What about the building? I say, oh, the building is coming up because he will. It's too slow. I say, we are following the process, the ADB process. Say, go and call Monsieur to come and build this quick. It was panic, but eventually the building is up, we thank God. And we are going to actually replicate these buildings in the 36 states of Nigeria, including the Federal Capital Territory. And it will be training about 37,000 youths under the Enable program. Again, talking about this same building, our two first ladies, who call them Mrs. Adesina and Mrs. Sanginga, they like the youth very much. So they visited the youth program here in Abuja. We entertained them, showed them some photographs, and they saw the photograph of Dr. Sanginga and your very self. I said, what are they doing here? They said, well, they are laying the foundation stone for the new training center. I said, oh, that's interesting. Well, we insisted you take us there so that we too take a photograph from that spot. So we took them. The photograph is on display. You will see it. But more than anything else, they are so passionate about the young people because when they came, they mingled with them. They even harvested vegetables. You can see the exhibition. And they told me off because I allowed the young people to work in the sun without a hat. They say, my friend Tarawali, this is not good for their skin and hair. So take care of them. So I've learned about that anyway. Now, for today's program, there is going to be a tree planting exercise. One actually to be planted by you, Mr. President. The second one by a Director General. And the third one by a young agripreneur, a female agripreneur. I would like to take you back to memory lane, Mr. President. I think when you visited this station in 2006 or 2008 with Bill and Melinda Gates, it was actually very quiet. The staff morale was low. No protection, no infrastructure. But you can see when DG Sanginga came in 2012, the difference that it has made. And we also congratulate you and thank you for adding value to his effort by actually allowing the ASAP Coordination Office to be housed here in Abuja. That has made a lot of difference. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Without taking any more time, I would like you to hear, permit me to let you hear what your programs have impacted on the young people of Nigeria. Let's move on to the next segment. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tarawali. Indeed, he has been a father to us here in Abuja. Mr. President, permit me to start this way. We all have an adopted name today. My name is Dari, but I have a very good name now. A compound name is Dari Saginga Adesina. And all agripreneurs also have that name. So I have Evelyn Adesina, Saginga, and all my colleagues. So please, can you herald us? We are doing very well. We have good fathers and we have good names backing us up. But sir, let me start the story with you this morning or this afternoon. 50 youths were graduating after their NYSC service. Of course, they had the mandatory scheme in IITA. And it is usual that after this scheme is completed, we are all allowed to go in search of jobs for those who are not retained in IITA. But that particular year, 2012 to be precise, in August, the Director General did say, rather than you all going and looking for jobs that are not in existence, why don't you see how you could take agriculture as a business to see how you can profit yourself and profit your family? So that's how the birth of agripreneurs was made. In that light also, we came and said, now that we are together, what do we need to do? We had a strategy that says 40% of the youth will be able, after the scheme, to start their own independent agribusiness enterprise. 20% will be able to further their education. 20% will be able to run the ER business or ER institute. With another 20%, 10% able to get employment in the business incubation platform of IITA. And another 10% through the skill capacity build will be able to get employed by the private sector. By looking at those percentages, you will discover there's a 10% that is missing. We are putting that 10% as those probably who would drop by the wayside, or even if you want to put it in clear terms, who would fail. Today, we have grown and we have metamorphosed into a group dynamic and blessed, vast in experience and vast with so much skill in agriculture, that we are poised to tell you this morning that we will do a lot than what you have seen. But permit me to also speak and say this. This movement did not just remain in Ibadan. Today I have with me beautiful youths, if you permit me to say, in colors of grace. So I'd like by starting by saying our very host, IITA Youth Agripreneurs Abuja. Can you just stand please for recognition? This is to show the replication that is currently happening. Sequel to that group, I would also like to call my colleagues from ONE, Port Harcourt to be precise. A youth group is also standing and viably active in that group. These are just representatives because we couldn't bring each and every one of them here due to activities also going on. To that also, I also have some of my colleagues who have started this same movement in far Kano, and they're also here with us today. So please, can you rise? Next to them is another generation of agripreneurs whom we call the Green Magic Agripreneurs. And I would also like them to rise for recognition today. The next generation that came prior to this generation are called the Green Wealth Agripreneurs. I also like to recognize them this very afternoon. There's a particular lady, Mr. President, that I must speak to you. She's here as an individual, but she's a nation as I can speak to you. She's no other person, and she's coming from a very distinct place in Nigeria, from the very hottest part of Nigeria today, from Borno State. So I'd like to also welcome Mercy Wakawa. Yes, from Borno State. And today, a proud agripreneur. You will get to share our story before you leave, Mr. President. And of course, the group that started it all, when it was indeed, if you permit me to also put this slogan on it, it was elaborate experiment by the DG. But today, I would like to welcome the IITA Youth Agripreneurs from Ibadan, who are pioneers of this great movement. Mr. President, your gesture while as a minister of Agric in this great nation of ours has brought about this significant change and difference that you see in the life of youth. We are here today smiling because that little gesture of yours is what has brought us this far. Today we are proud. Today we are taking agriculture as a business. Today we are picking agriculture, modern farming to be precise, where we use modern research, modern tools and ICT as well as mechanization to do all that we do. Today we are proud farmers, boastful, because today we see that our nation and continent cannot thrive except agriculture is taken by the bull, by the horn, and moved forward. I cannot say this story all by myself. I have colleagues here today who would come to speak to you from what that little gesture of yours has been able to do to us. Permit me as I welcome the second person who will speak to you today, Onyida Ashaju. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I must say it's a great honor to be in this gathering today. I have a story I'm not tired of telling. In the year 2013, I came into Ibadan from Lagos after my National Youth Service Corps scheme. In search of a job, I did get a job, but it wasn't what I ever imagined, the job of a waitress. I had to serve food, drinks, clean tables, and in some cases work in the pantry. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong in being a waitress, but I believe that as a graduate, you must do something mind-boggling in order to stay relevant. Sir, in the year 2014, you addressed the youth agripreneurs in Ibadan. I wasn't present because I was at my duty post as a waitress, but I got to see the video, and something struck me. Afterwards, I was able to join the youth agripreneurs. So far, I've been trained on value addition, business development, soft skills, amongst other things. My very first time now on a plane was in this group where I represented the group at South Africa during an agricultural summit. There I met with the president of MasterCard Foundation, a woman. That for me was totally inspiring. Again, I was opportuned to represent the group in California at an agricultural innovation academy where I met with great people, young minds like myself, and that gave me a reassurance that this group is on the right track. So far for me, it's been professional and personal development. Mr. President, earlier this year, I was transferred alongside 4 of my colleagues to the IITA station in Onne, River State. In all honesty, we met the station in a state of redundancy. But with our activities, we've been able to light it up. Now we are into the production of cassava, rice, plantain, and catfish. Now, because of the peculiarity of the region and the experience we've garnered so far, we are developing a business plan on the plantain value chain. Mr. President, yesterday I was a waitress. Today, I lead a team of youth agripreneurs. I do not think there's any better way to describe transformation. Your Excellency, the only difference between me and other youths in similar cases is opportunity. But I believe that with your unwavering support, you can make these dreams come alive. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, good afternoon, sir. My name is Sibirunke Fedaya, one of the IITA Youth Agripreneurs in Ibadan. My case is totally different from Ashaju Indamola's case. I have witnessed unemployment at my fingertip. And how do I witness that? While I was serving, I was opportune to serve in IITA, where I led cashiers to fields to work. But on this fateful day, it was a Wednesday, Your Excellency, something happened on the field. Then I was trying to mediate the situation for this set of people. That day was when I realized that 6 of the casual workers in IITA were actually master students, earning 460 naira per day, a master student. So that came to me, and it was a challenge. I was left with no option after graduation. After my service, yes, it's either I join these masters, then somebody comes in charge of me as well. I'll be going on with 460 naira every day. I'm not even a master student. Maybe mine will be 230 naira. I don't know. So I took the decision and I joined the IITA Youth Agripreneurs. That was when we invented the new group, Fisheries and Livestock. So we went for a 2 weeks training in Durante, coupled with technical support, mentoring, coaching along the way. And so we took 4 ponds that was abandoned in IITA and we turned into 17 massive ponds with a capacity of 150 tons. Mr. President, if you will recollect very well when you come to Ibadan, one of those ponds is a legacy after you today. Mr. President, this is a simple story in between. If we can have all these ponds in the whole state, then what comes of the legacy we are talking about? So we have AAA in 37 states in Nigeria. That for me is an achievement, but for you, it's a legacy. Mr. President, after this, the group did not stop there because we have a market that we couldn't meet. So we had to employ more hands. Mr. President, as I talk to you, we have 8 consultants working with us in the group. A master student was earning 460 naira, my people. But I'm telling you, we were paying 76,000 naira to 100 graduates at the end of the month. This is a reasonable difference. So there are a lot of youth who fall into the category of this master student. They don't have opportunities. Even if they do, I don't think they recognize it. But Mr. President, through the intervention of IITA Youth, I am able to recognize my opportunity. This is my simple story that I want you to take home. When I got admission into the school, I was taking change of course from 100 to 400 level because it was a 5-year course. Then at the 5th year, my course advisor called me. Young man, this is your destiny. You don't have to run away from it. I said no, because I hated agriculture with passion. I never wanted to do agriculture. But today, Mr. President, I am an agricultural priest. Not only am I a priest, I'm a project coordinator in agriculture. Not only that, I'm a capacity building person in agriculture. Not only that, I am a business person. And Mr. President, my group is now working in the TAT. We are going to play a leading role in TAT workshop. And not only that, Mr. President, we have partnership with Chevron, and we are training other youth across the nation and other nations. So, Mr. President, I'm saying thank you to you. I'm saying thank you to Saginga. So what will it mean if 1 million Nigeria youth will say thank you to you, Mr. President? Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency. At the age of 3, I lost my father. And at the age of 16, I embraced agriculture. It was a very good thing I did that at an early stage, because at 17, I found myself living in an uncompleted building with my family. Sir, what we did was to go around to poultry farms and ask them to please kindly allow us to pack the feed or the poultry waste, which we sold as manure. And that was able to get us out of that stage at that point. Then I knew that I wasn't going to apply for a job anywhere, but I was going to key into agribusiness. Little did I know of the IITA Youth Agripreneurs scheme. Before I finished school, I ventured into poultry farming, but then I needed more technical skills and understanding of the business sense of agriculture. Sir, I was posted to IITA for my NYSC, where I got to know of the IITA Youth Agripreneurs, a wonderful group that has been doing agriculture and practicing agribusiness in the way it should be done. So I applied to be part of this group. It wasn't easy to be a member of to be an agripreneur. I had to go through a rigorous selection criteria, but fortunately for me, I was accepted. I was also voted to be the leader of the group, the Green Wealth Agripreneurs, which my colleagues spoke of, the second generation. I was given the opportunity to manage another 28 colleagues of mine. Now, to manage youth, as we know, it's not easy, being my age mates. But then I was given that opportunity, which honestly has transformed me to be a better leader and a good manager. This group are a combination of people with about 60% of us without agricultural background, sir. Now, I have a colleague today who studied French, but today she manages a 10-hectare rice farm at Kano. We also were able to identify the drudgery in agriculture, which made youth to run away from agriculture. And then we thought of how to mechanize things. Over there, you see some machines during the exhibition, which I know you'll get to know more about, to help reduce the drudgery and attract youth to agriculture. This group also, sir, have been able to generate over $22,000 of revenue by adding value to products that IITA generate with proper backstopping and training from our senior colleagues, scientists, and mentors, of course, like yourself, sir. Sir, today I'm given the opportunity to speak before you. And I speak on behalf of all those who do not have an opportunity to talk to you, sir, because we believe that with the Enable Youth program, this opportunity will reach out to far many other youths, and they will be able to take Nigeria to a better state and Africa in general. Thank you, sir.
Your Excellency, my name is Festus Okulola Sagenga Adesina. It's a rare privilege to talk in front of the most handsome man in Africa, who is bow tie can never be separated from him. Your Excellency, standing in front of you is a third born out of 5 children of a missionary who has to move from one village to the other with irregular salary at the end of the month. We had to use agricultural revenue to sustain the family. Your Excellency, I will tell you that growing up in the village made it so impossible for me to see how easy it is to live in luxury or to have 3 square meal on a daily basis. It was so difficult. My father loved education, and he actually wanted all of us to have education. Him being not able to go through university when he was so young, got his first degree at the age of 50 from the Obafemi Awolowo University, where you finished from. And being a third born, I happened to be the first to gain admission to the university, and I was even the one that finished first in the university with a first class honor. And my father, finishing with 2-2 at the age of 50, was so happy that at least he finished and he had a 2-2. Having a child that finished with a first class was so an honor for him at the end of the day. Sir, after I finished my service year, I did not know what I was going to do. Of course, I had an option to finish, to go and do my master's, being the best graduate student of the university. But I got an opportunity to join this group because I knew within me that there is a businessman that needs to be built up. And I got an opportunity to join this group, and I joined. This group has been able to build a leader in me. So I want to let you know that I was part of the numerous youth that was present during the Enable workshop design in Abuja, where I was able to advocate to other youth across Africa what agribusiness can do and transform their lives. This group has been able to help me build an entrepreneurial person. I quickly want to let you know, sir, to remind you of the discussion I had with you when you visited IITA last year about tomato business. Sometime this year, tomato became a gold that was so scarce in Nigeria. I know a lot of people can still remember this, that even almost everybody could not afford to have tomato in their meals. Sir, I have been able to identify my business partners, and my business plan is under review. Imagine if I have a business right now, a lot of other youth that will be able to employ. I am telling you today that a lot of my colleagues are finished from the university who do not have job, that their parents are even still feeding them. And coupled with some of my people that apply to be the second generation of agripreneur of the group I belong to, up to now that do not have job. If the Enable project is signed and has started, we'll be able to afford them the opportunity to be employers of neighbor. And as you have said that you are seeing billionaires in Africa to come from this sector, I am telling you, it's going to give them an opportunity to become the billionaires that you are looking for. So I really want to stop here, but I tell you that we are more than able to bring your dream country in agriculture. Permit me to invite a very wonderful colleague of mine who is also a potential billionaire in agriculture. Permit me to invite Ibokun to tell you a wonderful story from where I'm stopping. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Mr. President, and everyone present here. While growing up, sir, I was privileged to be exposed to a little bit of backyard farming. My father is an historian, but he loved to practice a little bit of agriculture. So I was a little bit exposed to it. But I didn't like agriculture because of the stress and the drudgery involved. Fast forward to my higher institution, I found myself in agriculture again, this time as a course of study. I wasn't happy, but I had no choice but to pursue it. Then I was able to build a little agricultural experience. Then service year came and I found myself in IITA, and I was privileged to be selected among one of the agripreneurs in my set. And ever since I became an agripreneur, I can say to you, sir, that I have been able to build on my past experience as an agricultural student, and this has expanded my horizon in agriculture. My group, which is the third generation of the agripreneurs, the Green Magic agripreneurs, is distinct in the sense that we were selected to fill in spaces that open up as a result of the expansion of these EAP models in other locations like Abuja here, Kano, One, and some other locations. So we were recruited to fill in the spaces and fill up for deficiencies. And I can say that my group have been able to work effectively under the business incubation platform, which is a model which links practicing agriculture and making profit out of it. The business incubation platform is a model that teaches us how to reduce our costs effectively and optimize our profits, which is what we need in order to be billionaires. So we have been able to practice with vegetables. We've been able to adopt the use of cocoa peat and vermiculite to produce fresh and healthy vegetables. Sometimes in April, ex-president Olusegun Obasanjo was in IITA and he complained terribly of the fact that he had to eat imported vegetables. But with these techniques that we have already, we can go out there and set up something and be able to meet up with the demand in the country. Also with plantains, we have been able to successfully macro-propagate plantain suckers, which in turn meets the demand for the public. As we know that most of the plantains eaten in Nigeria is imported from Cameroon. With these techniques that we, the agripreneurs, have mastered, we can go out there and set up something and be able to meet up with the demand. Mr. President, sir, I once dreamt of working in a bank or a fancy organization, but now I am changing that dream. I am keen into your dream of the future millionaires and billionaires of Africa coming from this continent's greatest potential, which is agriculture. And as we all know that billionaires don't just keep working for people, they go out there, they face their fears, they take the risk, and they start up something, and they grow, they expand, and later on they are able to take other people in. Mr. President, I am inspired by you, and I wish to be like you someday, and I know that to achieve this, I have to start somewhere, and I have to start now. And I can say that I and my fellow agripreneurs are ready. We're ready to face our fears, we're ready to go out there and set up something and be able to be examples for other youths to adhere to. Mr. President, sir, if this we are on the right course, and I am telling you that if this course is greatly supported, it will yield mind-blowing results. Thank you very much, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. My name is Bajula Itolulokwe. and I am a member of the third generation of agripreneurs. When I was much younger, I've always had this dream of being a CEO of a bank. Well, I never really cared what bank. All I always wanted was to be a CEO of a bank. But look at me today. I'm in agriculture. I'm an agripreneur. I've never really dreamt of me being in agriculture. But the beautiful thing is that my eyes has been open to the opportunities that agriculture has in stock for youths. We all know that Nigeria is the largest producer of cassava in the world. And we as agripreneurs have been able to substitute the use of wheat flour for cassava flour for our product called tidbits. Mr. President, I'm very sure you are aware of this product called tidbits. Well, it's a composition of cowpea and high quality cassava flour. Mr. President, let me tell you that we cannot satisfy demand of just 2 states that we've penetrated. We know that there is a problem, and we know that that problem is that we don't have the capacity to meet this demand. What if we penetrate 37 states in Nigeria? Mr. President, what if we penetrate 37 states in Nigeria? Today, we produce 350 dozens of tidbits on a weekly basis, and yet we cannot meet just satisfy demand of just 2 states. We don't want to stop there. We want our product to enter every nook and corner of Nigeria, of Africa, and the world at large. Presently, in the processing unit of 3 members, including me, we have our business plan developed, but still undergoing review. We need a total of $130,000 for us to be able to increase production and satisfy this demand. $130,000. We can also create employment through this, Mr. President. And we can also make sure that we impact knowledge on these youths, on other youths. Mr. President, if these loans can be provided to us through the African Development Bank, and we collect 9% interest rate from the African Development Bank, instead of us getting this same loan from a commercial bank with 25% interest rate, we can guarantee you of a 39.7% increase in profit from just this product, tidbits. If these loans are provided to us, Mr. President, we can then achieve your dream of us being future billionaires. And in the end, we can compete against ourselves, not in business, but on the Forbes list of the richest people in the world. Mr. President, please allow me to introduce you a future billionaire, Tosi, to come and give our side of the story. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen. I must say that I cannot begin to quantify how amazing an opportunity it is this afternoon to address you, sir. Thank you for listening to the youth. I wouldn't say I was born into luxury, neither would I say I was born poor. And so for the better part of my life, I totally depended on what my parents could offer. That is, I depended on the kind of school, the food, and everything they could offer. And because of that, I was not exactly interested in agriculture or interested in how I got the food that I ate. And after NYC, I was faced with an option of joining the agripreneur, which presented an opportunity, or going back to school for my master's, which my parents were also going to pay for. Then I discovered that it was high time I did something for myself, and I decided to join the agripreneur. Mr. President, joining the agripreneur was a turning point and a transforming encounter in my life. After joining the agripreneur, we had to go through a lot of capacity building processes where I was exposed to various value chain in the agricultural sector. And that changed my mindset to understand that agriculture is the wealthiest resource that Africa can ever have. And that made me to understand that if I actually want to be the wealthy person I purpose in my heart to become, then I have to tap into agriculture. Another transforming encounter that have occurred in my life since I joined the agripreneur movement happened last year when Mrs. Adesina, your wife, and the wife of the Director General came to visit us here in Abuja. After interacting with them, I discovered that they were not just wives of great men, they were also women with great value. They were women with built capacity and in-depth. That left me with a burning desire to explore and create a niche for myself in the agriculture sector that I found myself, and to also think about building the capacity of other youth so they can take advantage of this opportunity that I have. Mr. President, I must tell you that myself and my colleague have taken advantage of the north where striga has been a problem and gone into the production, massive production I must say, of striga resistant maize for sale. That has been a very lucrative business venture for us. We've also taken a cue from the mother body, IITA Ibadan. We've also gone into various value chain, like smoking our catfish, the high quality cassava flour into various confectionaries and pastries. Mr. President, imagine a world filled with this creative innovator in agribusiness. Imagine a world filled with agripreneurs. And imagine the beauty of Africa feeding Africa. This is something that we are ready, equipped, and are not scared to champion this course of transformation in agribusiness. And we know that with your support, sir, the sky is not even our limit. Join me and permit me at this moment to invite another creative innovator in the agribusiness, Mercy, to tell you our story. Thank you very much, sir.
Mr. President, sir, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Sir, it is indeed a great privilege for me to stand here before you to share my success story. My name is Mercy Harun Awakawa from Borno State. I studied food science and technology from University of Maiduguri. Like every other Nigerian youth, full of dream, aspiration for a working life, the dream was cut short due to large number of unemployment in the country. I can remember I was part of the youth that participated for the immigration exercise. I was disqualified because of my height, which I'm very, very happy. Almost at the point of giving up, I was given an opportunity to participate in a training by End to Africa IITA project sponsored by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It was indeed a mindset changing activity because I don't know anything about agribusiness. Although it was against my wish, but I was cancelled on based on my background. So I decided to go into the post-harvest processing of granite. Today, sir, I have an oil cottage industry of my dream, a 2-ton installed cottage oil industry. I processed granite oil. Due to the high cost of granite, I wasn't able to continue with the granite. So I decided to diversify, which I've been able to process soybean oil. The product is here on the exhibition stand, sir, for you to see. Sir, if this opportunity will be given to other youths in Borno State, Boko Haram will be a thing of the past. Sir, I want to assure you that women are indeed good entrepreneurs if they are properly mobilized. Thank you very much, sir.
Good day, Mr. President. Permit me to say that my name is Zacchaeus Iswa. Today, the 27th day of September 2016, the floodgate of excitement has flooded this place with a great joy. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to say that I count myself extremely graced to celebrate an iconic legendary conqueror that has championed the cause of defeating the menace of hunger, food insecurity and unemployment in Nigeria and Africa at large. Please, let's put our hands together as we celebrate our guest tonight. Mr. President, it is with a great joy I wish to tell you that having you as our mentor is our dreams come true. It is quite true that Africa's greatest resource is its youth population. But this resource over generations have been misused due to the abundance of ignorance and inexperience. But I wish to tell Your Excellency that seated around you today are youths that have been transformed into champions to spearhead your cause of Africa, feeding Africa. I want to say that the huge injury of hunger, food insecurity and unemployment that has bedeviled this lion Africa and has seized our pride before the continents of the world is our major enemy in the battlefield. And today I wish to say, Your Excellency, that all these youths have put on their cap of passion for agribusiness, fully kitted with experience and training across the agricultural value chain to embrace this challenge and defeat this enemy and win the victory as champions that we are. Your Excellency, it is with great displeasure at this point I want to say I was fortunate to attend an international conference in Yelissa at Dakar, Senegal, where the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Youth said that the country has funding for agribusiness, but they are yet to see responsible youth to leverage on this fund. Seated here are youth that have been transformed into missionaries of agribusiness with the gospel of farming in school. So I tell you that we are willing to take this good knowledge and impact our colleagues in Africa and also the whole world. Your Excellency, at this point I want to say that we are not intimidated, we are not afraid, neither are we confused, because we are a testament to the fact that with professional training and good mentoring, like we have acquired in IITA under the canopy of the youngest and the most prominent agripreneur, Dr. Intaya Saginga, youths without full exposure to agriculture can be gainfully engaged in that sector. Your Excellency, if you look around you, you will know that yes, we are a team with gender equity. We are galvanized to give agriculture a new outlook by exploring its business potentials, to create employment, to ensure food sustainability and security. At this point, standing on this honorable stage, I wish to assure Your Excellency that in few years to come, Africa's darkest phase of shame and disgrace of its inability to feed itself will become a song of victory in the mouth of the aged, the youth, and the generation unborn. At this point, I am humble to make welcome to your front, Your Excellency, a woman that has shown herself as a light, spearheading the cause of fighting this battle. I'm talking about nobody else but Miss Molayo.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen. Sir, permit me to remind you of something. I'm sure the youth would remember this great artist. He said, "We are not afraid to take the world." And as agripreneurs, we are not afraid to take the world through agribusiness. Mr. President, you've heard from the horse's mouth. I would please want you to take a look at these young, great men and women who had little or no interest in agriculture, but now advocating for the engagement of more youth into agriculture. Permit me to take you down memory lane. A few years back when we started, we had no interest, we had no desire. Mr. President, you know what it means for a young man to be in the university and obtain a change of course from 100 level to 400 level. That's to show how much it desires or how much it detests agriculture, how much more it doesn't want to partake in it. But Mr. President, here we are, proclaiming the gospel of farming in school. I could remember September 2014, I led a team of young men and women, 5 of us, to Borno State to train the youth. We were scared, but we had this motion. If we are going to do anything worthwhile, if we are going to take the agricultural sector by storm, then we have to do it. Because the youth no longer want to listen to old men and women. They want to see youth of their same age bracket making money. And with that way, that is the only way we can actually change their perception about agriculture. Mr. President, here is Mercy Wakawa, the lady in yellow. She is one of the numerous people who have started their business. We trained them along the agricultural value chain of groundnuts, soybean, fish, maize in Borno State. And here she is. Even employed 4 other young females like her, and has an indirect job, created an indirect job employment for other youth. Mr. President, with our capacity building, we've been able to train 30% young female and 70% young males in the agricultural sector. Chevron Nigeria Limited, also other private and public sectors and public donors are brought into this. Mr. President, I would like to also inform you that the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ibadan paid us a visit sometimes last 2 years. And because of this model, a University of Ibadan business school has started, and few of my colleagues have started their masters in agribusiness. Mr. President, it is with little wonder that you would imagine that over 30 African countries have bought into this model, because it has been tested and trusted, and it has been proved to be the only sector that can productively and positively engage the energies of youth. Mr. President, in the history of IITA, IITA has institutionalized this program called the Youth in Agribusiness Office. And I'm proud to tell you that a young female is heading that office. Mr. President, what else can we say? We are more than ready. With your support, with our commitments, enthusiasm, energy, we believe that we will be able to champion the cause of agriculture and agribusiness beyond the 4 walls of Nigeria by conquering and moving into Africa. Mr. President, I would want you to know that at this point we can't fail you. You've trusted this much in us, and we are trusting you to fight for us, because together, Mr. President, we will take the world and conquer the world with agriculture, not as a business, not as a usual business, but as business unusual. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Your Excellency. You will indeed see that the vibrancy still is in us. We are not losing it even while farming. In fact, we are getting more vibrant with the farming. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome on board a man who, in our absence, fights for us. A man who has faced the thick and the thin of the Nigerian government on our behalf, if you permit me to speak in that manner. A man who speaks for us even when we are still on our bed. A man who is dogged and tough at his words. A man who today we call Dr. Enable. I want to bring up somebody whom plays also a fatherly figure to us. I want to, with a clap, please join me as I welcome Dr. Chiji Ojukwu to give us a little about Enable. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, Vice Presidents, colleagues, thank you very much. When I looked at the program, I didn't see my name. And I don't have the energy and passion and zeal of these young people. But this is a surprise to bring me here to challenge your oratory. I thought we were training farmers, but now I see that we are training, we are training speakers as well. Thank you very much for inviting me, and I thank the President for the opportunity he has given me to lead the Agriculture Department at the bank, of which we now, our board has approved a Feed Africa strategy, which has the Enable Youth as one of its flagships. So, as most of you have noted, we are not just supporting you, about 31 countries have come to us to ask that we support them with the flagship of Enable Youth. So we are doing our best to ensure that this program kicks off, not only here in Nigeria, but also across Africa. So your dream of taking this beyond Nigeria, we are on the right trajectory, and I assure you that we'll get there. We are happy that the President is supporting us, he's fighting for us. Whenever we have problems, we go to him, and he encourages us to march forward. So I don't think I will take much time. You already know me, I work with you. I assure you that we are together, and together we'll conquer. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. The youth, can we please echo thank you, Dr. Enable? Thank you very much, Dr. Chiji. Permit me, distinguished guests, to crave your indulgence at this point. They say when a son, the youngest of sons, or youngest of the children, are speaking to their father, we also have the most elder who also wants to tap in that. So permit me also, as I welcome one of the elders who wants to tap in this very august visit of yours, and to welcome the ATAP's National Coordinator, Engineer Haruna Akwashiki, for just 3 minutes, please. Can we please applaud him as he comes up?
Your Excellency, the President of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, CON, members of the high table, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. ATAPS 1 commenced implementation in 2015 with the coming on board of 3 key staff: the National Program Coordinator, the Procurement Officer, and the Program Accountant. The other key national staff came on board in November 2015. The zonal staff came on board in February 2016. However, we have gone a long way, and without taking too much of your time, I will just give the highlights of what we have recorded in terms of achievements so far. Mr. President, 70% of the program cost is for infrastructure. And to fast track the implementation of the infrastructure, we have unbundled it into 2 parts. We have what we call social infrastructures. That is, it involves provision of primary schools, provision of boreholes, provision of community markets, and so on and so forth. And the second part, the irrigation schemes and feeder roads. Now, the social infrastructures are being handled by our in-house engineers. We have 10 engineers on board. So far, we have invited bids from contractors for the social infrastructures. And by our work program, the social infrastructure should be completed by March 2017. On the irrigation scheme and on the irrigation schemes and the feeder roads, we are using consultants. So far, we have received proposal from consultants for the design and supervision. We have evaluated the technical proposal, and the report has been sent to the African Development Bank for no objection, so that we can open the financial proposal. And by our work program, the schemes, the irrigation schemes, and the feeder road should be completed latest by April 2017. So we are taking this infrastructure very seriously. We are working assiduously to deliver these infrastructures, because we are all aware of the depth of infrastructures in our country today. In spite of the dwindling resources at the states, all the participating states have paid their counterpart fund. So they have keyed in fully on the program because of the infrastructures aspect of it. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we also have the value chain development component, which is being handled under an outreach program with IITA and its partners, African Rice and ICRISAT. We have also recorded tremendous achievement in that area. So far, about 20,000 beneficiaries have been trained, and the productivity of these beneficiaries has increased tremendously as a result of the capacity building of the outreach program under IITA. We have also trained 10,000 youth, because we have a youth aspect of it, and by our proposal, 200,000 youth will be trained under this program. So far, 10,000 youths have been trained, and this is very important because you discover that the crime rate in Nigeria today is on the high side, because we have many of these adult youths on the street doing nothing. So we are working assiduously in ATAPS 1 to make sure that we take these youth off the street. We have also created linkages between off-takers and the beneficiaries, and this is working very perfectly. For the 2016 rain fed, through our activities, the Nigeria, or the northern Nigeria flour mills and the Honeywell flour mills have, through a buyback arrangement, provided 105 metric tons of sorghum seed to about 13,000 farmers. Each of them has 1 hectare. They are going to produce on commercial level, and at the end of the day, both the honey mills and the Nigeria flours mills will buy this product from the farmers. We also have arrangements in the area of rice and cassava with the off-takers. We have firm up arrangement with Labana rice in Sokoto, the Atijere rice in Sokoto, and then Labana rice in Kebbi. We're also in touch with the Onyx rice mills in Niger State. And we also have arrangement with the Tara Agro Industries in the southern part, that is in Enugu axis. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are working assiduously to make sure that we change the face of agriculture in this country through our activities. And furthermore, let me say here that we had initial problems, but that has been resolved completely. We had the issue of TSA, that is the Treasury Single Account policy of the federal government, that affected our program somehow, but that has been completely resolved. So we are now on full track as far as the implementation of ATAPT 1 is concerned, because we believe that this is a very unique program. It has some unique features which are lacking in other donor-supported projects in this country. For instance, we have a robust zonal arrangement where the states are pulling their resources together to develop agriculture. This has never been done by any donor-supported program in this country, because we have 2 states working under one zonal management outfit. This is unique to ATAPT 1. I recall a sister donor-supported project attempted this policy sometime back, but because of the political intricacies and power play involved, it has to abort the idea. But ATAPT 1 has broken that jinx, because we use all what they call moral suasion to make sure that the state works together to move agriculture forward in this country. And then let me also say here that, by our program, we are going to create about 120,000 jobs. So far, 25,000 jobs have been created. And we have arrived at this figure through a recent rapid appraisal exercise, which we undertook to all the 4 zones we are working on, because we are operating on zonal basis and there are 4 zones. We have Adani or Mo zone, comprising of Enugu and Anambra State. We have Bida Badegi zone, comprising of Niger State. We have Kebbi Sokoto zone, comprising of Kebbi and Sokoto states. And finally, we have Kano Jigawa zone, comprising of Kano and Jigawa state. So this program is very, very unique. And I recall when the president of the African Development Bank now, then the Minister of Agriculture in Nigeria, interviewed us, he raised a question. He said, by the end of the program, assuming the president of Nigeria called you and ask you a question, or you put you by his side and say you should say something about ATAPT 1, what will you tell him? I still remember that question. And the issue is we have made some impact from what I have said so far on the lives of our beneficiary, because the income of our beneficiaries so far has increased by 5%, even though we say by the end of the program it will increase for about 25%. But we are working assiduously towards meeting that target. And we have 3 mandate crops: sorghum, cassava, and rice. For sorghum, the yield has moved from 0.5 tons per hectare to about 1.3 tons per hectare. across the project area. And for cassava, the yields has moved from 12 tons per hectare to 15 tons per hectare. And finally, for rice, the yields among our beneficiaries have moved from 2 tons per hectare to 5.4 tons per hectare. And like I say, we have obtained these figures through our recent rapid appraisal exercise. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would not like to take too much of your time, but Mr. President, distinguished ladies and member of the high table, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to take too much of your time. So let me at this point acknowledge the support we have received so far from the African Development Bank country office in Nigeria. The office has been very supportive. We owe a debt of gratitude to our task manager, Dr. Ibrahim Amadou, who has been tenaciously working on this program. Because of time factor, I cannot say more on this program, but I have a documentary here which captures most of the things I have said, and I wish to create the indulgence of the President to present this documentary to him so that at his spare time he can look at it and have a better idea of what ATAPS 1 is doing in Nigeria. Mr. President, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. You'd agree with me that it's a difficult job for an agripreneur to stop a country coordinator, a national coordinator. But I think he did very well. So can we please appreciate him once again? Permit me, we just have some slight changes in the program of events, so try as much as possible to cover a lot now and then move forward as we proceed. So with also a warm applause, I'd like to welcome on stage the Executive Director, Dr. Bright Okogu, to come up to help us in welcoming the President.
Suffices.
Good afternoon, Mr. President of the African Development Bank. Yesterday we saw the President of Nigeria, and the President of the African Development Bank described himself as President with a small p. Mr. President with a small p, welcome to Nigeria. This is the first time that I'm seeing so many beautiful young men and women who are farmers, and they say farming is cool. Yes, let me say, great youth of Nigeria, thank you for what you are doing. You are the future of Nigeria. I listen and I see how articulate each and every one of you has been. And I say to myself, I have met more experienced people, also graduates, some even have 2 degrees. Not all of them speak as well as these people who have come on this stage. Very well done. I've been told, in fact, that the secret is that many of you, some are engineers, some are lawyers, and some are economists. None of you really is a farmer when you think about it in the traditional sense. When we were small, they used to carry hoe and cutlass. That's how you know a farmer. But look at these people. Are you farmers? Yes. Congratulations. Mr. President, with a small p, I don't know how you are going to do it, but everybody says they are your children now. I know the size of your family. I thought I knew the size of your family, but now I'm a bit confused. I think you have thousands of children. So congratulations, Mr. President. In fact, in the presentation, somebody said his name was Adesina, a young man who said he had a first class, and I kept wondering, was that your real name, or you are the adopted son of the president of the ADB? Whichever one it is, let me congratulate you for having a first class in your first degree of education. In fact, the president himself had a first class, so really, Maybe I should change my name to Adesina. But it's a bit late because, as you can see, it will be very difficult. But all the same, all of you who are by adoption, by choice, by selection, have chosen to call yourselves children of Adesina. I wish you all the very best as you go forward. One of you called Ibukun actually said, a lady, a young lady I believe, she said she wanted to grow up and be like Dr. Adesina. So I said to myself, I'll give her a gift of a bow tie when she's ready. I will promise that, and I will give it to her through Dr. Adesina, her adopted father. Let me say here that agriculture is no longer what you regard as a drudgery business. It used to be, in many parts of the world it still is. But with this attitude, it's an exciting profession. Too late for some of us to join this agripreneur, but we can, when we retire, we get into this business as well. So that you can actually see that agriculture is going to be for everybody, because it's cool, as you said. We will all do so. Let me say here that in these difficult times that Nigeria has found itself, let us not despair. That, in fact, was a message that the president of the ADB, when he and the delegation met with the Nigerian authorities, the president and other very senior government people yesterday, this was the key message. There is hope, and what Nigeria is going through now is a temporary thing. Temporary because there are plans to get Nigeria out of the current situation. And ADB is at the center of working towards achieving this, coming out of the recession that Nigeria currently finds itself. So, Mr. President, thank you very much for, I know you are a Nigerian and you do it anyway, but I now speak as Executive Director representing Nigeria at the ADB. So let me thank you on behalf of Nigeria for your work and your support for this country. Agriculture is no longer seen as just farming. It is now a business, like many of you have said. There are great opportunities, not just in the primary level of producing the raw crops, but in processing, in storage, in transforming, in marketing. You build a warehouse, and that's your business. You can then make sure that you, when tomatoes are scarce, you go to your warehouse and bring 1 million or whatever turns out of it, and you supply the market, and you make good money. This is the essence of looking at agriculture as a business rather than just farming. Let me not take too much of your time, as was said a few minutes ago. All I want to say here is that great people rise when things are difficult. And you look at throughout history, you will see this example over and over again. In this time of recession, great Nigerian youth are rising to the occasion. And I'm certain that you will triumph at the end of all of this. As Executive Director representing your interest at the ADB, I will speak to the President of the ADB when we get back on how we can try to scale up what you already have on ground. He started it here, he will finish it in Abidjan when we go back. I also use the opportunity here to appeal to our own venture capitalists, people with money, who can support the young man who is producing that nice product. All he needs is $137,000, $130,000. I'm sure many of these people can put in the money to make sure you can meet the demands, not just in 2 states, but in 37 states of Nigeria. And I think really we should look towards that. So, Mr. President, I recommend that we look into how we encourage those people to get into the act of this. The final point I wish to make is that yesterday when the president of the ADB met, along with the rest of us, met with the president of Nigeria, Federal Republic of Nigeria, he ended his statement by saying it shall be well with Nigeria. Let me say to all of you young people, it is well with you and it shall be well with you going forward. Thank you very much.
Distinguished members of the high table, special guests, members of the press, agripreneurs, National Youth Corps members, it's an honor and privilege to bring up on stage His Excellency, the President of the African Development Bank, Dr. Adesina. Can we please rise as we welcome him to the podium?
Thanks very much. Please be seated. Well, first and foremost, I am so delighted to see all of the IITA Agripreneurs. And every time that I see you, I get a new drive, a new excitement, a new energy. And I know that the future is bright for Nigeria. And I know the future is actually very bright for Africa because of you. You know, one of the things that excites me, and before I start all the protocols, was when I won the presidency of the African Development Bank. And I was being sworn in Abuja on September 1st, 2015, last year. And it got to a point I was talking about the need to feed Africa. And obviously to feed Africa, you need Africa's youth to be able to do that. And as I spoke, I talked about the excitement, the motivation, the drive that I got in trying to do this for Africa out of Nigeria and out of these young people, all these talented people that you've all heard about today. And I was surprised and very moved when I look into the audience in my day of my inauguration on September 1st, 2015. And there was, at a particular level, the IITA Agripreneurs were there, and they got up and they waved to me on the stage. I never forgot that time, and I will never forget you. Let me say that first and foremost, I am delighted to be here in Nigeria. It's my first official visit as president of the African Development Bank, the last time that I visited you. And I must say something. You see, all these guys, all these IITA Agripreneurs, all these fantastic people, they do great work, but I can tell you they can dance, because I came with my wife to IITA after I was elected, and they threw a small party, and we were there. I mean, I couldn't believe that these entrepreneurs are actually dancer entrepreneurs as well. Let me say that Dr. Sanginga, the Director General of IITA, let me thank you very much for putting this event together. Let me say a few words about you, because people think that you are actually from Nigeria. I know. The reason I'm saying that is that you are actually from the Democratic Republic of Congo. And when I went to see your president, he told me that you took Nigerian nationality and that he has lost you and given you away to Nigeria. Dr. Sanginga, you are doing something remarkable. Let me congratulate you first and foremost on your re-election for your second term in office as Director General of IITA. As you know, I used to be myself, I worked many years ago as a scientist, as principal economist for IITA, where we did a lot of work. There is something very unique about Dr. Sanginga. In my view, he is the best Director General IITA has ever had. And the reason for me is very simple. He's a very pragmatic man. He's a very practical man. He's a very results-driven person. and he tries to link research to development and results. And what you see today is the hard work of what he has put in into linking that research to development and results. Congratulations. I know you are also a scientist, but I didn't recognize that you have also gone into genetic engineering, in which now you have a little sangingas and stuff like that in IITA. When it was time for him to consider being re-elected for second term, I told him specifically that if he didn't run for office for second term, the IITA Youth Entrepreneurs would take him and take him to the big pool, that pond in IITA, and bury him there. So maybe you thought that he ran for office because he wanted it, but I think he ran for office because he had no choice. Let me thank you very much, and you and your team, Dr. Shalawali, for the great work that you are doing, Dr. Akwachiki, all of you. Let me thank our own Dr. Enable, Dr. Chiji, and listening next to him, the acting Vice President for Agriculture, Kapil Kapoor, who's continued to provide support behind what you see today. Let me also thank our ambassador. Our ambassador was, she's a farmer, by the way. She's a big-time farmer, by the way. And she was the ambassador in Netherlands, and she did a lot of great work. So, Excellency, good to see you. But many of you know that I was trained at Purdue University. And I was looking from where I was, and I see Professor Fulton over there from Purdue University. It's nice to see you, Joanne. Welcome. Why is today a very, very important day for us? It's important because, or what I call the need for us to create new opportunities for young people in Africa. A week before I took office as president of the African Development Bank, I went to Senegal. I went to a place called the island of Gorée. And the island of Gorée is the place where they normally take the slaves, and they will take the slaves out. And there is a particular door there. It's called the door of no return. And that's the last door you go through before the slaves are put into the boats, and off they went, and that was it. So many global leaders have stood at that particular gate, including the Pope and everybody else, Obama and so on, President Obama. And so it was my time. But I wanted to go there before I took office as president of the African Development Bank. Because as a leader, you must be grounded in reality. You must be grounded in the real problems of people. And I got over there, and as I stood there, I finished, I got back into my car, and I asked myself, the young people, Africa's dynamic, strong people, were taken out of this place through this door, and they never came back. But today, we have a different kind of problem, that Africa's youth voluntarily get on rickety boats and get off onto the Mediterranean Sea, and many of them today are buried at the bottom of that. And I ask myself, this is not the future of Africa's youth. Africa's youth's future is not at the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. Africa's youth's future is to unleash your talent, your entrepreneurship, your skills, your passion, your dynamism, your hopes and your aspirations to be able to move this continent forward, not just forward, but move it forward relentlessly. And I made a decision to myself that when I got back into my office, one of the first things I was going to do is to make sure the African Development creates a continental-wide program that's going to accelerate job creation and wealth creation for Africa's youth. But of course, when you talk about job creation for Africa's youth, most people think that it is going to be jobs through be in the banking industry or all of that. But as you could hear today, you listen to Oyida, you listen to Ifedayo, to Yetunde, to Festus, to Ibukun, to Tolulope, to Tosi. You listen to Mercy and Afam. You listen to Zacchaeus, and although his height was much higher than Zacchaeus, I remember in the Bible. But he shared something. He said the gospel of agriculture is cool. And you listen to the fantastic presentation by Molayo, that you were not afraid to take risks. And that in fact, you are going to change agriculture from what used to be to business unusual. Why must it be so? Africa today spends $35 billion a year buying food. That means that we are making others richer. We are exporting jobs elsewhere. Our rural areas are getting decimated. We are making billionaires elsewhere, and we are creating poverty back at home. And I think it makes no sense that if we did nothing, Africa's food imports will rise from today's $35 billion. By 2025, it will become 110 billion US dollars. Now, I want to see by a show of hand, how many of you drink oil? I don't see any hands here. How many of you smoke gas if you smoke? I don't see any hands here, but how many of you eat food? There you go. So the biggest business in the world is the food business. And agriculture is the biggest potential that Africa has. But we've got to change our mindset about agriculture from being a way of life to agriculture as a business. And as I sat here and I'm listening to all of you, I am convinced that truly now Africa has embraced agriculture as a business. And you are the agribusiness of today, and you will be the millionaires and billionaires of tomorrow. Let me say that, what are we going to do to support you? We have launched what is called the Enable Youth Program. We're very delighted to develop this with IITA and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture in Nigeria. You are our focus. And the focus is to create 37,000 agribusiness entrepreneurs like you all over the country. And each one of you hiring probably 5 people can create maybe about 185,000 jobs. And that will help Nigeria to deal with the high problem of unemployment that you find in the country today. We have also launched a new program that is called Jobs for Africa's Youth. Enable is here, but sitting right here is Sunita Pitamba. You want to stand? Sunita is running this particular program, and we are trying to develop agribusiness, also computer scientists, coders, programmers, and those that will also be IT entrepreneurs for Africa. The program is designed to do 3 things. First is to provide skills, and I think what you've done about providing skills is fantastic. But at the end of the day, when you provide skills, you've got to be able to have financing at the end of the day. You know, what does it matter if, Omolayo, after you've said you want to have business unusual? What is going to be most unusual is if you have no access to financing to do it. And that's why at the African Development Bank, we are going to set up business incubation support facilities and access to finance for young people. You see, if you're a young person and you go to a bank and say you are 25 years old, they'll ask you for tax receipts for the last 40 years, which you cannot provide. And so what the African Development Bank wants to do is to enable the banks, the financial institutions, to provide you the financing you need to be able to grow your business. As I sat over there, I saw opportunities right in front of us. And I see a lot of entrepreneurs that need financing to get it done. I want to give you my word that we will make sure that you succeed in Nigeria. And my job is made a lot easier because of my executive director from Nigeria, who has actually said, we succeed in Nigeria, now I have to succeed in Abuja. You make sure we succeed there, because it's going to be one of the people voting for you there. Let me say today, as I close, that I am very encouraged. I'm encouraged because I see a better future. I'm encouraged because I see a new kind of Africa. I'm encouraged because I see a new type of youth coming up that are going to take Africa out of the misery of not being able to feed itself. I see a new dynamism that's going to allow Africa to develop, and to develop with pride. Because you cannot have development with pride if you are not able to feed yourself. Your neighbor may love you to death, but your neighbor is not going to feed your kids. And it doesn't matter how big our economy is, we are not yet strong unless we are able to feed ourselves and then feed others. And so I would like to give you a charge today. Rise, Africa's youth, and be counted. Rise, Africa's youth, and contribute. Count on the African Development Bank, which is the bank set up to help to bring your aspirations to life. Stand and be counted at this moment that we are trying to feed Africa. You are the ones that are going to feed Africa. Our job is to help you get the skills, to get the entrepreneurship capacity, and more than anything else, to get the financing you need to succeed. I am absolutely confident that you will succeed. I look forward to coming back to Nigeria, not to see you in this kind of a setting, but to walk into your businesses, to walk into your factories, and to see that your ideas, which were incubated from IITA, has unleashed a new generation of millionaires for Nigeria, and in fact a new generation of millionaires for Africa. I'd like you to stand, all the young people, all these agripreneurs, and I want the rest of you that are sitting to give them a very happy clap. That was for them. Now I'm going to ask you to stand. The rest of you that are not standing, stand. The reason I'm asking you to stand is that you must now stand and be counted to make them stand. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Sir? Okay, all right, good. Thank you.
So please, would like members of the high table